Hello and welcome to this Photoshop tutorial. I'm intending to show you how I put this image together. It's eventually called Tragedy in the Winter. I started with this model and I looked at her pose and I thought, well, she's either cold or she's terrified. So I went with the cold option. I didn't like the tattoo down the side of the body and I had to remove that. Also wanted to flip around the other way, so using Control T, and I flipped it horizontally and I came up with this image. Remove the first one, delete that layer because I don't need it anymore. It was just to show you what I started with. Okay, so I had this cold model. You can see I've removed parts of the bottom of the legs, and that's because I've made her kneeling down in some snow. I looked for a suitable background and I'll just turn off for a minute. This was the background I chose. I made a copy of it and I reduced the opacity of that copy down to 28%. Sorry, 59%. You can see if I had it at 100%, it's a little bright. Just take it down a bit. 59, I'll settle that. And then I added some more sky to darken the sky. The main problem being the light source. The sun was in the middle of the picture and the light falling on the model was coming from the left, so I needed to move the emphasis of the highlights from the center to the left. And I did it with adding some more cloud. I added in this particular cloud layer here, which in isolation is just this bit, and it looks like I've moved the sun from the center to the left by adding that in there. And then I added some more cloud to darken the sky even more, and then I put the model in and I gave her a bit of shadow just around the legs, bottom of the legs, and in the snow, and that is just this layer here, which had a normal opacity, but I drew it with an opacity probably about 80% with the brush. But that's all it is, just a little daub of paint there. And I selected that particular colour. I'll show you later if I can find it, from some footprints I put in the snow. I added some shadow to the body, and again this is just painted on. Look at that in isolation. And you can see it's just a bit of grey or black paint at a low opacity to shade her in there. And there you can see it without. Bit of a difference. Put the rest back in, going backwards. Okay, and then I added the footprints. Now, from the colour of these footprints, I chose the colour with the dropper tool to put in around here. These footprints were not that shape originally. I had to warp them using the transform tool. Look at this by itself. If I do Control and T, that's the footprints there. And if you right click inside the box and you go to warp, you can change how the footprints fall. and warp it to how you want it, which is what I did basically. Okay, moving on to the next layer. That one you can't move until you've clicked it into place. Here I did a bit of snow and a bit more snow. Now these are overlays. They're transparent layers with the snow as white flecks of paint, and it gives you the snowy effect. And this layer, again, just more snow and more and more. Just scroll up, and then I did what's called the move. You press Control, Alt, Shift and E on a PC, and that reproduces your layer as it is there. It's kind of like merging all the layers and giving a new place to start from. Did a copy of it, but the copy I set the opacity at 54%. I could have set it at 100%. It doesn't make a lot of difference, to be honest. And then I did another layer. Now that didn't come in first, this came in first. This hand, which was attached to an arm, but I just wanted the hand, so I selected the hand and pasted the hand there. This bit was just a shadow of the hand, which I drew in by hand using some black paint at a low opacity. And the opacity you can see is 54%. Then I did a hue and saturation layer, which I attached just to the hand. You can do that by selecting the gap in between the two layers, pressing the Alt key, and you see that little square with the arrow? That means that layer will only affect the layer below and not the entire picture. So that's what was done with this one, and I better make sure it's still there, otherwise it will affect the whole picture. And in fact, it looks like I've messed it up, so I need to undo it again. Press Alt, undo it, and I've got my hand and the shadow back. Hue and saturation was just to the girl and to the hand, and all I did in the hue saturation layer was reduce the saturations of the reds only. If you go up to here, select reds. If I take it back up, well, you can see how badly that affects it. So I reduced the level of the reds so they look very pale and very cold, which was the object of the exercise. Then I did another layer using curves, and I worked again on the reds. I reduced the reds, you can see that curve there, and it gave it a more blue or cyan tone, and that enhances the feeling of the cold. And then I decided this area was a bit sparse, it needed something in there, so I put these tree branches in. It was just an overlay of a tree. It's all in black, there was no detail in it, and so I added some touches of white paint to the branches to give it that snowy look, and added more snow, and finally more, so it's pretty much a blizzard that she's in. And that's the picture finished, and those were the steps I took to achieve that result. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can contact me at the address given in the end credits. Thank you.